everybody. Welcome to Panther Prowl here on the SDH Network. I'm Madison Cruz, and I am here with Matt Taylor of the Georgia State men's soccer team. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. I just got done with classes and ready to relive the experiences, as they would say.
As you should, because it was a great win against the Liberty Flames. It was a great matchup as a whole. You guys went down in the first, actually in the 46th minute. It was 1-0. Liberty was leading. You guys came up to tie it, and then you had the tie-breaking goal. How did it feel to get your first goal of the season?
It felt amazing, to be real. I've been battling a little bit of hardships when it comes to like scoring goals and such in my previous years, and this just feels like a good start for me to be able to really show everybody what I can do and what's possible out of me. And let's not get it twisted. My team was there through it 100% of the way because I have to give my shout outs to one of my other teammates, Gustavo, who also gave us the goal to make that game tied. In itself, it was a great win. It was really hard fought. Liberty, they had the talent themselves, but I guess we just wanted to win more, as they would say.
How do you balance the mentality of, not getting as many goals as you'd like to get, but then finally getting that one? It's almost like the floodgates are kind of open now. Now it feels like anything's possible.
It feels good because it reminds me of like who I was. Because as a player, before I came to Jersey State, I was what you would call a successful player. I was able to get goals. I was most likely looked on as the goal scorer for most of the teams I've been on. To come here, it was a little bit of challenge, and I did have my slumps there and there where it kind of brings self doubt. But once you really do get that first one to really get into like to get in, like the train really going, it really feels different. It feels like, all right, I'm here, I got it, I'm done playing around, and I just really wanted to get at it now.
Again, huge credit. You mentioned it also, but I mean, it was really a team win with what you guys were able to do, bringing it back to tie it up, making it 1-1. Then the assist from you, bringing it in to get the goal. What has it been like to really watch this team grow together on the field, but also off of it?
I'm so like proud of this team because it's just like through our years going up, and as I would say, like my freshman to junior experience, it was every time we had a great team. We had a little bit of troubles here and there, but each and every time we had the chance and we really had like the ability to take what was there. But this year I could really feel it because there's a sense of like connectedness when it comes to us in our locker room. Like freshmen are coming in and it feels like they've been here for the past year. And stuff like that really just like makes me feel happy to really be a part of a team like this, and it makes me feel like there's so much ahead for us because especially in our conference where you see there's big names, big challenges for people who are on the top ranks, top 25. We have like three teams in our conference that are in there, but it doesn't like discourage me feeling like, oh, this is gonna be a hard game or there's no chance. I feel like we have a chance to beat them and really put Georgia State on the map, and that's what I'm really looking forward to this year.
In talking to head coach Brett Cerency, he talked a lot about just the one thing that was missing from you guys was kind of finding that final third and really getting in there and getting those opportunities. Now that you guys have gotten a couple goals in here, what has it been like in practice this week, really to kind of perfect that and getting that going, especially going up against a great team in Lipscomb this Thursday?
For our practices these past 2 days have been, I feel like it's just been a whole like a flip. People are really feeling that like, okay, we seen it. We see like there's a popular saying, you just need to see one go in, and that was basically how it felt. Seeing that like our that one win get in, it's just like, okay, we found a way to win. Now we got to keep this streak alive. We got to keep it going. Practices have been just like everybody's been running for it. I feel like we've been scoring more and been more effective in practice, and it's just basically the time that we finally show everything that we've had in practice into the games. And I feel like this is the big step where it's going to be showing basically everything we've worked towards this point.
Have you noticed a shift in, I don't want to say the mentality, but have you noticed a shift in like the energy building up to this game? Is it a little bit different than the games past for you guys, especially with the win on your shoulders?
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit more different. This like for this year, it's a very new squad, and that's what I would say. It's just like for the past last 2 years, there hasn't really been any big changes or big in like I would say big transfers in. But this year, we have a lot of people who are new to the team who are from seniors to freshmen. There's basically a new person everywhere. So it's it takes a little bit more to get back to what we know and be that team when it's a lot more newer people. But through and all, I feel like we've been taking a step there each and every time we play. And this game that we just played is just gonna. It feels like the wall has finally been broken, and we have a clear path. We see what we need to do now.
I have to ask about your celebration at the end. You got some moves.
Well, I was. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of did two celebrations because there's a video that I found that I showed to my teammates before on the bus ride. I was like, man, there's just this dance. I don't know why, but this guy did this. It was funny. It was a kid and how he was doing the dance, and I was just like, I'm gonna try to do that. It wasn't as clean as the kids, but then my second celebration was like, soccer. I've always been a fan of Brazil, and sorry, and as their culture as well, and the music and how they dance. It's just something, especially in the previous World Cup, seeing seeing stars like Richarlison, Paqueta, and as well as I'm sorry, I'm blanking, but Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., all of them, and just how much fun they had when they were just in the tournament, and each and every goal they scored felt like really a celebration. I kind of like how that felt, and that's how I feel like soccer feels for me. Is like you work so hard, that celebration is the payoff. That celebration is like the expression, how you truly feel about the goal you just scored. So that win, it just like that. My celebration for that, it was first part. It was just a little. I think it was a Milwaukee dance, but the second part was a Brazilian dance.
I loved it. I loved it. My last question for you, Matt, and we'll get more into this matchup against Lipscomb. What is the early scouting report like for them? What have you guys been working on to really prepare for that match?
For Lipscomb, uh, it's really a different. It, for for the teams we played as of recently, their formation has been more similar to us in how we really build out and how we really set ourselves up. But their Lipscomb is a little bit more of a traditional soccer team when it comes to just playing simple formation, like a 4-3-3. And for that, it's just a change because college soccer, you really tend to see a lot of back threes instead of back fours, just so they can put more people in the attack, which I personally do like having more people in the attack. But that simple part of the game, it works very well. So you have to really design yourself around it so you can prevent stuff like 1v1s and these mismatches in certain areas. And that's what Lipscomb tries to point towards when you really look at their game. It's really of a 1v1. They get the balls into the strikers, and they just let them do what they can with the ball. And I have to give respect as they do. They look like they're a very creative bunch, but I have more belief in my team than theirs.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and good luck this Thursday when you go up against Lipscomb.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maddie, and thank you so much to Matt Taylor for taking the time to catch up with us here at Panther Prowl. I'm Jason Longshore, and let's get caught up on the schedule for the Georgia State soccer programs. We'll start with the men's side. As Matt and Maddie talked about, the Panthers are on the road Thursday night up in Nashville to face Lipscomb. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m. You can watch that on the Lipscomb Media Network. Go to the gsupanthers.com Georgia State men's soccer schedule page, and you can click the watch link there. Sunday night, you can show up at the GSU Soccer Complex, or you can watch with me on ESPN Plus as Memphis comes to town. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff. Tickets are free at the GSU Soccer Complex, and if you're a subscriber to ESPN Plus, you can watch with my commentary there. On the women's side, it's been a tough start to the season. You're going to hear from Georgia State Panthers head coach Ed Joyce here in just a second. Last week was a tough week, a 2-0 loss at home to Florida, followed up by a 3-0 loss to Western Carolina. It's a busy week this week as the Panthers will host in-state rivals Kennesaw State on Thursday night at the GSU Soccer Complex. Tickets are free. Game will kick off at 7 p.m. If you can't make it out, you can watch with me on ESPN Plus. And then on Sunday, the Panthers women are on the road to face Presbyterian. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. I had the chance today to catch up with Georgia State coach Ed Joyce and talk about the early season struggles. Here's my conversation with Ed Joyce. Let's just start with how this season has gone so far. I know the results haven't been what you and your staff and the team would want. Kind of how would you assess where things are at the moment?
Probably a little stop-start. We've had some good moments, but we've had a lot of adversity from an injury standpoint. Losing a lot of players that you expect to figure, and then in preseason are figuring in a good place, and then all of a sudden things that you can't control. So not like load injuries, just more traumatic type injuries that we have to kind of contend with. So that changes a lot, especially when they're two older players and experienced players that are used to what you're doing. So at this point, I think we're trying to find identity, and we're trying to get back to who we are, which is concede very few goals. And usually score quite a few. So I mean, we're kind of in a situation of discovery, I think, with new players getting new opportunities. But every player wants an opportunity, so now you have it, you got to take it. And that's kind of the beauty of sports in general.
How do you balance those situations where you guys have a very clear identity and you want to play a certain way, but you're bringing players through that haven't had the experience in doing that in these competitive situations and against really tough opponents as well? How do you balance keeping identity, but also maybe bending to what the players are capable of right now?
Yeah, I think that's the $1 million question, and that's arguably that's coaching. I can be stubborn and stick to my principles and stick to what I want to do and be a frustrated man come results. But I mean, at the same time, we've got to develop the players that we have to do what we want to do, while also giving a little bit in moments when we have to compromise a bit. So, I think we've also, this schedule, we knew putting it together was going to be the toughest, this program's probably ever played. We anticipated going into it with, a bit more experience in the 11 potentially. But those kids that are injured are, only one of them's probably done for the year. The rest of them are working their way back in. So we have to try and kind of couple the let's get results in the now while also preparing, for the future, and while also giving the players that have kind of filling in for them at the minute and replacing them the opportunity to win the job. Because that's ultimately what we talk about is, the job is there for you to win, and when you win it, you don't give it back. So these girls have an opportunity now to take that and run with it and win it and not give the job back. So, we've had a tough run of it, some tough games where we've been punished for mistakes, and I think that's why you play the tough teams. And come the start of conference, what we did beforehand really doesn't matter anyway. So we're in a kind of a learning experience where we have to just be patient and stay true to principles, but not necessarily to the intricacies of how we want to do it. I think there's ways we can do that, and we're kind of investigating that at the moment.
One big highlight this season, without a doubt, has been Jada in goal. I've always rated her so highly, and I don't think she gets enough credit regionally, in the media, nationally. She's outdone herself this year. How important is it to have somebody back there like that can maybe fix some of the mistakes in front?
Yeah, I mean, we're extremely blessed. I mean, we've got two. Ari Anderson is fantastic as well. So it helps, and I think, Jay is one that from her first year to now has just come on leaps and bounds every single year. And, in possession, she's as good as, many centre-backs are in possession in the ball side of things. So, I mean, we're very lucky to have her. But obviously goalkeepers are kind of known for making saves, and she's been doing that at a fair old tilt, and a tilt that, to be quite frank, we want to try and lessen. I think she's had to do too much for us. So we got to shore some things up. I think we were very fortunate last year having Eva Diaz through the middle, who was a 5th-year player, had 5 years experience in the system. We had Ana Diaz, who again had 4 years in it and was kind of sure of herself. And that caused us to have to move some things around, moving Brooke Nelson to middle of the 3, which is a lot of responsibility. And that's something that she's learning and having to adapt to. So we're the spring is tough. Spring is challenging to get everything done because the games aren't necessarily meaning anything. They're all process. The results, you're playing a bit of everybody, so the results kind of become a little bit second fiddle. So I mean, we feel pretty confident that we can move this needle pretty quickly this week. But ultimately, this is a players' game, and the players have to understand that and believe it as well. So I think that's where you just need to get one. We always talk about in the college game, the games come thick and fast. And that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing because streaks are tough to break whichever way they go in. So, we feel like if we get one going our way and get a bit of luck, because I don't think we've had a huge amount of luck either, to be honest, off the pitch or on it. We get a bit of luck going our way. We feel like we can capitalize and we've got the players, even with the injury, we've got the players here to cause teams problems.
Yeah, you mentioned that. It feels like the games have been tighter than the final score lines or even the final stats in some situations have been. The second half against Western Carolina, it did feel like there was a noticeable difference. And I don't know, maybe the backs against the wall kind of mentality and people came out fighting. Is that something you think you can build on going forward this Thursday against Kennesaw?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, we had 3 pretty big opportunities in the second half that, we could have been 3-2 up, to be frank, if we were a bit more clinical, and we didn't, and that's the name of the game. Obviously there's some things that have happened, and things that we can't control and I can't speak about either that I think have been a bit questionable, but we're also need to make our own luck. I think, and when you're giving up that many opportunities, like you're not going to win many games at this level. So I think for us, that's the first time we've conceded 3 goals since Georgia in 22. I think before that it was potentially 21. So I mean, we don't concede that many goals very often. So I'm pretty confident this is just a run, and we've got to get confident because I mean we're not getting really dominated in these games, and we got dominated statistically against Western Carolina, but they were from our own mistakes. We had the ball 68% of the time, doubled up on passes, but unfortunately you get the ball in front of your goal, teams will punish you, and they're a good team. They'll challenge again for the SoCon. They won it last year. And that's why we scheduled them. So, I mean, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves in these first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches. And then from there, it's just about us getting better. And that's the process we're in right now.
In that process, are you seeing kind of players step up into that leadership role? When you lose some experienced players, whether it's through graduation or whether it's through injury, somebody's got to fill that vacuum. And are you starting to see some of the players, whether they're younger or older, just haven't played as much, kind of step into those roles and be more vocal?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got 2 good vocal leaders. I mean, Liv Shaw, you can always hear her, and Callie's I think she's broken the record now for most games started in a row. So I mean, she's never not started a game for us. So even in the conference tournament, she split her head wide open, she started the next game. So I mean, she's a warrior. She's more of your example type person. I think Elena's really growing into that role. Obviously didn't feature for us on Sunday, which is another, big loss for us at the time. So yeah, I think we need that. I think this is a good challenge, and it's something where players learn what they can and can't do as well. So if maybe they didn't think they could do that role, and all of a sudden they, have one little outburst in a halftime talk or, in the run of play, and all of a sudden they believe in themselves to take it and run with it. So I mean, we need that from people, and adversity sometimes causes people to go the opposite way. And I think in our situation, we're trying to guide them to solve problems themselves before we solve them on the touchline, because it's too late at that point normally. So yeah, I mean, we had a couple of good sessions this week. Obviously going into the game tomorrow, it's always a kind of a form book out the window game, to be honest. So I mean, we feel like we know each other pretty well. We know each other's players pretty well. And we feel like we'll perform to the level that we need to.
And it's a little bit different, Kennesaw State, than you're accustomed to. New coach Chris Cahill little bit different style of play that we're starting to see from the Owls. What challenges do they present to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're always good on set pieces, which is a challenge in college soccer in general. So I mean, I think that's something that we're always alert to with the opponent and trying to scout and see what they do as trends. I think they're trying to play a bit more than they have done in the past in terms of playing from the back and playing through the lines, whereas previously they were very much kind of a play in the attacking half type team. I think this year they're trying to do a bit more from back to front, which is different. But I mean, for us, that's what we train against pretty much every day. So I mean, for us, that's not really a change. We just need to make sure that we're prepared for the rotations. Obviously, they've got some players. Macy can score a lot of goals, and Orozco's got a clever little final pass, and they've got some athletes in some areas to cause you problems 1-versus-1. So I mean, for us, it's going to be a good test to see if we have shored up some things at the back and just playing with a bit more confidence. I mean, that was the biggest thing that we saw was, we saw a team that's coming off the back of 2 SEC matches against 2 teams of kids that, will have players playing at the next level, probably in 2s, 3s, and 4s. And back to back, with kind of what's going on within the group, like that's a challenge, and I think, again, we will be better for that. But initially it takes, it's kind of a bit of a sucker punch at times to time when you play well, and then like Ole Miss, you can see 2 goals in a quick period of time, which neither were really getting broken down. They were just kind of awkward bouncing balls. And Florida's similar. The goal scores a worldie, which, I don't think we see every day in the Sun Belt. But then at moments, we had some good opportunities to do it ourselves. And, I thought, selfishly, I felt Elena Diaz was probably top 2 or 3 players on the pitch that day against Florida. So, I mean,
I absolutely agree.
So we're in a place where we start, getting ourselves healthy again. I think that what we do will still keep going. But, Kennesaw's always a tough game. I like Chris. I've known him for a little bit. So, I mean, he's trying to put his stamp on things. And, I think I'm looking forward to seeing it kind of real life.
The last one, without giving away anything tactically, of course, if you could flip a switch and have one difference in this week's matches versus what you've had this season, what would change?
I don't think, we've obviously been blessed to have you follow our program for a few years. I don't think we've been close to as crisp as we have been, even in the spring. I think we're playing we start off with a bit of confidence, and then we're getting rocked a little bit, by one mistake. And I think, we just got to keep going. We've got to support each other. We've got to believe in, have a bit more intention in what we're doing, make a mistake and make it full pace. Don't make it tentatively. And I think, you saw that kind of change in the second half against Western Carolina. Whereas I feel good about it. I think we just have to, like you said, we've got to get one over the hump, so to speak. And obviously Kennesaw want the same thing. They're hunting for the same thing. So 2 teams that I believe are much better than their records. And unfortunately, that's the college game. It's not necessarily, the best teams that are winning games are teams that have a little bit extra or a little bit of that kind of intangible, whether it's experience or whether it's, a bit of battle in attacking third. So I think for us, like, the crispness is what makes us who we are. The belief is what makes us who we are. And I think they come one in the same. So, we're going to focus on us. Kennesaw, all respect to them, and they've got good players and they're a good side. But like, I think for us at this point of where we're at after coming off in hindsight, a really tough run, 2 SEC teams and a conference champion. And then I think, Chattanooga, obviously, a no slouch either. So, I mean, you look at the run we've had, we have to focus on ourselves and what we can control, which is our effort, our endeavor, and our quality once we get on the ball.